Hello everyone, welcome back to my series on the films of 1973. Today's episode, or this installment, is on The Wicker Man. I actually did one other one today on Day for Night. The Wicker Man was remade a few years ago with Nicolas Cage in the lead role, and I'm sure you've seen some clips of him acting particularly insane. Almost as insane as he was in Vampire's Kiss, but of course this is not that movie. This was made long before that. It was actually a film that I saw back when I was in high school, or maybe a few years after that. It was recommended by a friend of mine. And what I knew about it really was nothing more than involved a giant wooden statue that looks like a human. Is in the shape of a person. So when I rescreened it, I knew a little bit more about what was happening and where it was going, but there was still a lot of detail that I missed out on. For example, I'd completely forgotten that this movie is almost a musical because there's so much singing and dancing going on that it actually seems like there are breaks in the story for musical numbers. Although I wouldn't say that it's literally a musical, not in the sense where characters sing, in this sort of unreal way that musicals are normally done. It's all done within the context of the story. It takes place on an island called Summerisle, which is just off the coast of Scotland. And the leader of the community is Lord Summerisle, played by Christopher Lee. At the beginning of the film, a detective by the name of Howie, that's his last name, Detective Howie, who is played by Edward Woodward, arrives in a small prop plane because he's received a letter from one of the residents of the island saying, "There's a little girl, her name is Rowan. She's gone missing. We haven't seen her in months. Could you please come and investigate because she may need your help?" So he arrives there, foolishly all by himself, and he starts to ask around and investigate. And while the townspeople initially claim that there has never been any girl living on this island named Rowan, he eventually discovers that this isn't true. That the people actually on the islands consider her to have never existed because apparently she has died and has been absorbed back into nature. This is their excuse for saying, oh no, there's never been a girl named Rowan living on this island. So naturally the detective is very suspicious that the girl died by unnatural causes and investigates. He even goes so far as to dig up a grave that he thinks that she might be in, but there's no body in there. There's no human body. There is a body, but it isn't human. So he's like, very, very worried that the girl has been killed or that she will be killed in a pagan sacrifice because of the rituals that he sees going on all over the island involving the townspeople, pagan rituals. He is a strict Catholic. He will not be a party to any of that. And he becomes very comical after a while because he's insisting that you need to teach the children about Jesus, and you need to, this is a Christian country that you're a part of, blah, 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 this and that. And Christopher Lee, who is, Lord Summerisle, is just like, hey, it's all good, this is how we live here. This is, and the cop's like, no, it's all about Jesus. You need to teach, your kids to be Christian, blah, blah, blah. And so he's very, very uptight, comically so after a while. He begins to, suspect that he might be in danger as well as the little girl, with good reason. Because May Day is coming up, and apparently that is a really big sort of festive occasion for the residents in which they're possibly going to make a human sacrifice, which Howie believes is that little girl. She's been stashed and hidden away somewhere. So yeah, it really sort of becomes, it starts off as a detective story, he's looking for a missing person, but it really becomes more of a conflict of ideologies. And it is quite amusing. Detective Howie, everywhere he goes, he's confronted by things that he doesn't like, people doing things he doesn't like, dancing around naked or having sex in the graveyard, all that kind of stuff. There's this great scene where he's talking with Lord Summerisle about the fact that he just saw a bunch of girls running around naked and leaping one at a time over a fire pit. Why would they do that? He's just like, well, you see, this is something that we do to make sure that our young ladies are fertile and bear children. We believe that the god of the sea or god of the land will provide them with children, if they leap over the fire. He's like, that's just crazy, something like that never happens, really. So you can recall that you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus, who is someone who wasn't biologically conceived the usual way. Christopher Lee, of course, is a terrific actor. He's like 91 now. He looked really, really old in the new Hobbit movie. But I really like him a lot. I sometimes compare him to Frank Langella because they're both very, very tall men and they have these deep voices. I'm a big Frank Langella fan. Christopher Lee I like a lot as well, but I haven't seen nearly as many of his films, of course. There was a recent film, well, not a recent film, but I was recommended to check out a movie in which he played Dracula, and I confused it with a different movie in which he played Dracula, because both he and Peter Cushing were in it. Peter Cushing played Van Helsing in both these films. I'm thinking, well, how many different films did Christopher Lee play Dracula in? Couldn't be that many. It's like 8. There's like 8 movies in which he's played Dracula, which is pretty funny. Oh, I should mention Britt Ekland. Britt Ekland is an actress that I'm not really familiar with, but, you know, for people that are, I think, familiar with the movies of the 60s and 70s probably know a lot about her. She really goes to some great lengths to frustrate the detective. When he beds down in the bed and breakfast, or it's like some little place where he rents a room for the night when he first arrives, she is in the adjoining room and she strips completely naked and does a song and dance, sending him all these sex vibes through the wall, and this really makes him uncomfortable. A lot of singing and dancing, and a lot of it is very sort of sexual in nature and just what Detective Howie would call indecent. And there's a scene in which the teacher is explaining the importance of the phallic symbols to her class of little kids. And of course, Howie is just like very, very, you know, aggravated by this. But I noticed that, I believe anyway, from what I remember from watching the film, when she's saying all this stuff, it's basically just a shot of her and the detective at the class, and you don't see the rest of the classroom, and I'm assuming that they didn't have any kids there for that part of her monologue. I don't know, but you know, it looks like they could have done it that way. The director is Robin Hardy, and Robin Hardy doesn't have a very long resume as a director, but he did actually make a Wicker Man sequel called The Wicker Tree, which came out in 2011. I would assume that is in part due to the infamous nature of the Nicolas Cage remake. I'm not really sure. But I did enjoy this movie quite a lot. I found it pretty funny, actually. Just in the sort of the conflict with the uptight nature of the detective and everyone else on the island as well. You know, like I said, it's more of a clash of ideologies than it is a detective story, although there is, you know, that element to it. But it's a fun movie, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So the next couple of movies I'm going to be doing will be later this week. I'm going to be doing the Ingmar Bergman film, Scenes from a Marriage. I don't think I've seen any Bergman films before, so that'll be interesting. And the classic Pam Grier exploitation film, Coffee. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And if you have any 1973 recommendations you'd like me to review, leave me a comment. Of course, you can look at the playlist, the link for which is in the description of all the videos that I've done so far on 1973 movies. 40 years ago, we're stepping back in time 40 years, a whole ongoing series that I'm doing over the course of this year. And I don't know why I need to put my glasses on again, because I don't need them right now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon. Oh, and one more thing, I just wanted to thank Puckbond 007 and 99 Filmo for recommending this to me. Thanks again.